In a world divided by conflict, where fear often speaks louder than compassion, there are still voices calling humanity toward peace. For decades, one such voice has continued to remind the world that peace is not merely an idea, but a responsibility. A responsibility to justice, a responsibility to humanity, a responsibility to one another.
एक दिन रूबरू हम मिलेंगे उसे चश्मे नम बावजू हम मिलेंगे उसे एक दिन रूबरू हम मिलेंगे उसे चश्मे नम बावजू हम मिलेंगे उसे एक दिन रूबरू हम मिलेंगे उसे चश्मे नम बावजू हम मिलेंगे उसे.
October 3rd, 2016, marked a historic and blessed day in the 50-year history of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Canada. On this day, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Khalifatul Masih V, may Allah be his helper, began his 6th visit to Canada with the message not of politics, not of power, but of peace. The Government of Canada officially declared His Holiness a guest of state.
Any visit or tour of Khalifatul Masih, and those of us who have been blessed to be around them can testify to the indescribable electricity in the air. It's as if the oxygen has changed, or even, sometimes when you are going at an elevation, you can feel your ears popping. So suddenly the atmosphere has changed. The tour of 2016 holds a special place in the hearts of not only Canadians, but many around the world, because whether they were here to experience it or they were witnessing it behind a screen, whether on their smartphone or MTA or social media or the news, still say they have never seen a tour quite like that one. And in a lot of ways, it was historic.
Thousands of Ahmadis from across the country gathered at Peace Village to welcome their beloved Imam with great love and emotion. For many, it was the first time seeing their beloved Imam in person. During the 6-week visit, hundreds of Ahmadis were blessed with the opportunity of personal meetings with their beloved Khalifa, making this tour a spiritually uplifting and memorable journey.
The energy of that tour still reverberates till today, yet those moments can never be recreated, but the impact is everlasting. From the moment Huzoor Anwar's Kafla leaves the airport, the law enforcement had shut down the entire route all the way to the Baitul Islam Mosque. And unbeknownst to us, from the moment the vehicles left the Toronto Pearson Airport all the way to the arrival at Peace Village, multiple helicopters covered this arrival live, while there was tens of thousands of people gathered for the welcoming ceremony. There were news media that had arrived far more than even our expectations. And anyone that was present for those precious moments will attest to the indescribable feeling where reporters were trying to be the first one to record the first words of Khalifatul Masih, to be able to ask questions when no interview was scheduled. And that was just the first few hours of this tour, which confirmed to us that in fact, it is Allah's angels that accompany Khilafat wherever it goes and does the true justice that the grandeur of Khilafat is owed.
The whole of Peace Village was standing on Ahmadiyya Avenue, and we could see people around everywhere. And when Huzoor arrived, the feelings of happiness and emotions, that impression is still vivid in my mind. The second impression I have vivid in my mind is the scene of Huzoor coming out of his residence on Brishi Street and walking to the mosque, and all men, ladies, children, old and young, standing just to see a glimpse of Huzoor walking to the mosque.
As we were preparing for this tour, of course, weeks in advance, we knew the dates and we had a sense of the schedule. We were reaching out to various different news channels, newspapers, radio stations. And to our dismay and surprise, the Toronto Star did an article talking about mosques that are, in fact, projecting dangerous sermons. And what was particularly shocking about this reporting is they had a picture of the Baitul Islam Mosque. And we immediately took action and reached out to the leadership team of the Toronto Star, which is the largest newspaper in the country at the time. And not only did the newspaper do a formal apology article, they in fact introduced who is the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, the impact that they've had in Canada. And the chairman of the board of the parent company of the media organization reached out and said, what can I do to right this wrong? Would there be an opportunity for me to meet with His Holiness and apologize to your community? And after some discussion, we agreed to this meeting. Having witnessed that particular conversation, it was one of the most astonishing experiences, because to see titans of industry be so meek in front of Khilafat is indescribable.
His Holiness, may Allah be his helper, met with Toronto Star reporter Mr. John Honderich and also gave an interview to Global News TV. At a time when the world feared terrorism, His Holiness stood firmly for peace. He made one thing clear: Islam does not permit terrorism.
The prevailing situation in the world is very critical. So if proper justice is done, so all the parties should be given their due right.
A major press conference was also held, where a journalist from CTV asked how a message of peace and love could succeed in a world filled with hatred and division, despite initiatives such as Meet a Muslim Family.
You see, whatever these groups are doing, it is all against the teaching of Islam. So we follow the Holy Quran. And there has never been any commandment which says you commit such type of brutalities, which is being done by Muslims.
Addressing misconceptions about Islam, His Holiness stated that certain extremist scholars have distorted the true teachings of Islam.
Beheading is never permissible. Suicide bombing is not permitted. Killing of a person without any reason is akin to the killing of the whole world. That is what Quran says.
Jalsa Salana Canada 2016 became more than a religious gathering. It became a global platform for peace. In his concluding address at Jalsa Salana Canada, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, described Islam as a religion of peace, justice, and compassion.
CTV's Naomi Parnas is in Mississauga, where 25,000 Muslims from across the GTA gathered this afternoon to hear a message of hope. Naomi.
That's right, Michelle. It was a very special day here for thousands of people. Today is actually the first day of a 3-day Muslim convention here in Mississauga, but it started off with a sermon from the worldwide spiritual leader of the Ahmadiyya community. Today, he addressed the largest Muslim convention in the country. Posters lined the walls saying love for all, hatred for none. It's the message this leader and these people hope to spread. They want the world to know Ahmadiyya Muslims and true Islam is about peace.
अगर हकीकी अमन कायम करना है, फिर इस्लाम की तालीम कहती है कि इंतहाई आला मयार के इंसाफ पर कायम हो जाओ। बस यहाँ मुसलमान भी ख्वाहिशात की पैरवी के लिए अदल से दूर हट रहे हैं, बावजूद इस्लाम का दावा करने के, और गैर मुस्लिम ताकतें भी अपने मफादात और ख्वाहिशात की तस्कीन के लिए अदल से दूर जा रही हैं, इंसाफ से दूर जा रही हैं और बदअमनी पैदा कर रही हैं।
During Jalsa Salana Canada, non-Muslim guests described the speeches as life-changing. Guests shared their reflections on the address of His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper.
Well, you just feel a very special presence. First of all, when somebody like that comes in the room, there's something about the way he carries himself, but it's also his words. I mean, when he says, that none of us should accept for 1 second, discrimination on the basis of faith, this so much fits with core Canadian values.
The organizational strength, the cultural strength, the vision of justice, of peace. It is overwhelming in some respects in terms of the magnitude, but it's good to have friendships here, it's good to have relationships, and it's good to work together.
It was absolutely fantastic, and I have to say that there was an energy and an electricity that was in the room, especially, of course, as soon as His Holiness walked in.
Really appreciated the message that he delivered, and I'm going to be taking some of that back home with me.
Many noted that the theme, love for all, hatred for none, was especially relevant to today's world.
Love for all, hatred for none. How important is it to really spread that message in today's society?
I think it is quite obvious for everybody that how important this is in today's, situation where there are so many atrocities, brutalities are being committed by Muslim groups, although they do not represent the Muslim Ummah, a small minority. But the nation's value of these people is too much. They can create havoc anywhere they like by suicide bombing and other brutal actions. So in this age, the message, love for all and hatred for none, is the message to be spread all across the world.
Throughout the tour, His Holiness, may Allah be his helper, repeatedly warned that the world was heading toward catastrophe if justice was ignored. These were not political speeches. They were warnings from a spiritual leader deeply concerned for humanity. To truly understand the weight of his message, one must look closely at the specific addresses he delivered at every major forum. Years later, many of those concerns became reality.
At Baitul Islam Mosque, Peter Mansbridge, who is the most celebrated journalist in, some say, Canadian history, he has interviewed everybody from President Barack Obama to Canadian prime ministers and many other world leaders. And as he sat to interview Huzoor Anwar at the Baitul Islam Mosque, he felt that he was very well prepared for both his questions but the conversation. And there's a moment where he picks up his iPad and says, "Your Holiness, I have a question about your annual convention." And the Jalsa Salana Canada had just concluded a few days earlier. And there I observed, and before he could show what he wanted to show, Huzoor said, "I know what you observed. You're going to ask me why the men and the women were in two separate halls." And he smiled and he goes, that's what I wanted to ask you about.
See, there's no compulsion in religion. This is the part of their faith to do hijab. Hijab is the barrier. What hijab means is a barrier. So, not free mixing, but as far as the opportunities are concerned, our Ahmadi ladies are more educated, more literate than the men. They are doctors, they are working in the hospitals, they are engineers, architects, scientists, research workers, doing all these things and with hijab. So these are the opportunities we are giving to them. We are not usurping their rights. We are not depriving them of their potentials. Canada has a role in the United Nations. Canada has a role in G8. You should make them realize that we should be honest to the people, to the nations. Every small nation, even quite a number of small nations, have nuclear weapons. So the government should play their role to let the world understand and give them the sense that they should realize, why do we want to leave a legacy behind us of crippled children and destroyed world?
You paint an awfully bleak picture.
It is not bleak, because it is a reality.
On October 17th, 2016, history was made in Ottawa. His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, visited the Canadian Parliament and addressed its members. Before his arrival, members of Parliament praised his efforts for peace and religious harmony. Then came an unprecedented moment. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stood. Then the entire Parliament rose in respect.
All members of Parliament, representing all parts of the country, rose on their feet, and the Speaker of the House asked for a rousing round of applause to recognize Hazrat Khalifatul Masih as a champion of peace. And the courage in that message saw no difference in who the audience is.
People are unwilling to take personal responsibility for their failures. And so each individual blames others and considers the division and conflicts of the world to be the fault of everyone else but them. Consequently, we are passing through a time of great uncertainty, and no one can truly comprehend what the consequences of our actions will be. All of these issues are a result of unjust policies, inequality, and a lack of balance.
On 22nd October 2016, at the Peace Symposium held in Iwan-e-Tahir, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, delivered a keynote address focusing on global peace and justice.
Nations must be fair in their dealings and should not be governed by narrow self-interest, but rather by what is right, what is just, and what is in the interest of the world at large. We are charging madly towards catastrophic and devastating world war. The consequences of such a war do not bear thinking about. The misery, horror, and destruction could last for generations to come. Therefore, we can only hope and pray that Allah the Almighty grants wisdom and sense to humanity.
At York University, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, delivered a keynote address titled Justice in an Unjust World.
In the world today, we witness double standards and hypocrisy at so many levels of society. And the resulting lack of peace is a cause of the utmost concern and grief for those people who sincerely feel the pain of humanity. If we truly want peace in our time, then we must act with justice. We must value equality and fairness. As the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, so beautifully stated, we must love for others what we love for ourselves. We must pursue the rights of others with the same zeal and determination that we pursue our own rights. We should broaden our horizon and look at what is right for the world, rather than what is only right for us. These are the means for peace in our age.
When we look back at the period after the visit of Sayyidina Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, Huzoor has been repeatedly reminding the decision makers of the world that they should look at the reasons of unrest in the world and look to maintain justice in the relationship between the various nations. But unfortunately, it appears this appeal has been on deaf ears, and we do not see any leader seriously looking at these factors and doing anything to avert the disaster which we are afraid of.
Throughout this 6-week tour, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih gave numerous addresses, had many public audiences from universities to convention centers to banquet halls to special honorary receptions, and had many station cities and towns where Huzoor Anwar would either inaugurate a mosque, meet with local members, lead prayers there.
During his Canadian tour, Huzoor, may Allah be his helper, inaugurated mosques and reminded communities that mosques are not places of division, but centers of service and peace. At the inauguration of Masjid Mahmud in Regina, Canada, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, delivered a profound address highlighting the true purpose of mosques in Islam.
हमेशा याद रखना चाहिए कि मस्जिद हमारी तरबियत के लिए भी और तबलीग के लिए भी इंतहाई अहम है। बस आज दुनिया को हलाकत से बचाना अहमदियों का काम है।
At the Peace Symposium in Calgary, Canada, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, delivered an address focusing on the true teachings of Islam and the importance of global peace.
No one should assume that the acts of extremists or terrorists are in accordance with Islam. The Islam that I know and practice is based upon the teachings of the Holy Quran, the most sacred and holy book for all Muslims, and upon the life and teachings of the founder of Islam, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him.
A historic 6-week tour of Canada wrapped up just a short while ago in our city. Thousands gathered at this Northeast Mosque to bid farewell to His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. Religious leader known as a Caliph began his tour in Toronto back in October. He visited the country's largest Islamic convention there. He also spent time at Parliament and was greeted by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Most certainly our hearts yearn that we want our beloved Imam to be amongst us, to visit Canada and to visit Canada repeatedly like he once did. Because we maybe took for granted that since this Khilafat started, Canada was fortunate to have many such tours. But the enormous responsibility on Khilafat is one that we also need to understand.
Whenever I visit any Jamaat, the first and the most commonly asked question is, when is Huzoor coming back again in Canada? Why does not Huzoor visit Canada again? So I tell them, every time I visit Huzoor, I repeat this feeling of members of the Jamaat Canada, and Huzoor smiles and Huzoor says, you should pray that Allah brings about conditions that I can visit. So this feeling is very frequently expressed to me. This shows how much members of the Jamaat, particularly our youth, our children, love Huzoor, and how much passionately they want that Huzoor should visit us again is seen in these questions.
So we see now many Canadians in this post-pandemic era have a privilege to go and visit Khalifatul Masih in Islamabad. We are lucky to have a live Friday sermon where Huzoor sends very clear instructions, guidance, and tells us what his expectations are. The question that we should be asking is not when will the next tour be, but rather, are we living up to the expectation of Khalifatul Masih?
So we should avail listening to, watching Huzoor's Friday sermon, Huzoor's other addresses, and particularly this week with Huzoor. That MTA program is so unique from different angles. It is the best source of our religious knowledge and benefiting from Huzoor's advice. Any Ahmadi anywhere in the world can be in the company of Huzoor, virtual company of Huzoor through the blessing of MTA. We should avail it.
पैगाम आ रहे हैं कि मस्कन उदास है.
Today, the world needs this message more than ever. A message of peace, justice, compassion. The same message Huzoor, may Allah be his helper, brought to Canada in 2016. And across the country, from Vancouver to Toronto, from Calgary to Peace Village, Canadian Ahmadis still pray for one thing: that Huzoor, may Allah be his helper, returns once again. Until that blessed day comes, we will continue carrying this message forward, a message of peace for all humanity.